Hi, my name is Richard Gilbert, and by the end of this speech today, I would like my audience to know that ghosts are not real, and are in fact just the product of scary stories and Hollywood productions. We've all felt it, that chill down your spine, or heard some noise in the dark that we can't explain, and perhaps in our haste we attribute it to something supernatural. The problem with this, however, is that it ignores what might actually be a real problem, and tries to rationalize it with improper and incomplete data. So, in order to correct this, we'll need to conduct our own investigation. And as I guide this investigation today, we're going to take a look at the beliefs that form the idea, the equipment used by investigators, and the so-called results and findings of these beliefs into the truth. The truth, or if ghosts are real. So, like any good investigation, we have to begin with a reason. In this case, our reason is a question. Why? Why do we believe what we do? Well, there's a scientific and religious possibilities. Religion, for one, starts off with the fact that angels and demons walk among us. Or some, which leaves, of course, the door open for other mystical, explanations, such as ghosts and or monsters. The problem with this, however, is that religion tends to contradict itself. One religion may say that a spirit lingers around its body for a few days after, others say they move on. Some say that spirits linger in limbo, and some say that unless you perform proper rituals and or burial rites, the spirit may permanently haunt some given location. With this contradiction, however, we can't say that any one religion is more correct than the other, and they sort of negate each other out. Likewise, my own religion, for example, says that the Holy Ghost walks among us. The Holy Ghost isn't necessarily an actual ghost, but supposedly the presence of God, which isn't really the same thing. Likewise, it also says that the devil can disguise himself as an angel of light, which may describe some of the more prominent physical sightings in the orbs of light that some people say are actual spirits may in fact be demons and or angels, as religion sometimes dictates. But let's say you don't necessarily buy the religion angle. Let's say you prefer science. Well, a lot of scientists think that Einstein's principle gives the perfect evidence for the support of ghosts. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, merely transferred, and that when we die, our energy is transferred into a spiritual form, and or ghosts. However, science can be oftentimes just as fluid and questionable as religion, or as intangible as the ghosts themselves they're trying to prove. So then let's say for a moment that our beliefs are incorrect. Then we have to take a look at something else, something that'll prove it. For this, we're going to look at the equipment and the methods investigators use. Investigators use a wide range of modern equipment, as well as some old-fashioned and kind of outdated practices. The problem with both of these is due to either technical issues or outside criticism, neither one seem to hold water. Take, for example, the equipment. EMF detectors are used to locate electromagnetic frequencies and or unusual electrical disturbances in the air. Similarly, infrared cameras are used to determine if there's any unusual hot or cold spots in a room. Various other audio and visual equipment is meant to capture sounds and or pictures or sightings of spirits. The problem with all this is it can easily be faked and or explained away. For example, infrared cameras may be a result of poor insulation. Electrical readings that can't be explained could be in these old houses that there's faulty wiring. Likewise, shadows, camera flares, and perhaps just rodents in the attic might explain some of the odd noises that sometimes we think might be supernatural. But if you think those are questionable, wait till you hear the fact that they sometimes use psychics and or mediums to commune with the dead. This isn't necessarily to say that it's a bad idea, merely that the answers that these psychics sometimes get are cryptic and or vague, which doesn't really do anything to clear up the matter at hand. More so, that, and interestingly enough, when you start getting into psychics and stuff, which provide the so-called more concrete evidence, you open the door to the fact that the more obscure and or strange the method used to detect ghosts are, the more likely ghosts are to exist, supposedly. That is to say, the larger the room for human error, the larger the chance there are that ghosts actually are present, according to experts. So then let's say the experts are wrong, the equipment doesn't work, and that the beliefs that we know of just don't make sense. So then how do we explain all the pictures, video, and countless evidence that says ghosts are real? Well, do a Google on YouTube real quick. You'll find countless images of ghosts, lights in the cemetery, shadows, and other strange things that can't be explained. Even Sci-Fi Channel runs its series The Ghost Hunters, where two so-called professionals, which by the way are actually plumbers, go to various haunted locations in order to prove that ghosts exist. And yet, despite several seasons and so-called sightings, how come we have nothing more to work on than possible hearsay? Let's even look back at the scientific explanation that people offered, Einstein's principle of energy conservation. The fact of the matter is, there is an answer to where that energy goes. When you die, you decompose. Decomposition generates heat. You go into the grass, you're consumed by animals, the heat dissipates into the air. The energy goes somewhere, it's not lost at all, and it doesn't certainly become a ghost. We're no more ghostly than the cow that created the steak on your plate, after all. So then let's say that the proof's wrong. Let's say that the equipment doesn't work. Let's say beliefs are all messed up. So where does that leave us? Unfortunately, with more questions. But today, at least we took a look at the beliefs and practices, the equipment used, and the so-called evidence into the truth on if ghosts are real or not. And in the end, I think we can safely say that it's probably just one big hoax, and Hollywood trying to capitalize on the latest fad and or people's superstition. That being all said, there is a distinct lack of answers, and in the presence of this void, the question of ghosts and do they exist, however, will always linger, which is fine. In the end, really and truthfully, the presence of ghosts determined is based on one thing: a personal choice, and what you choose to believe. Thank you.